about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact, download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
LIVESTREAM Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of LIVESTREAM Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one today, that's for sure. Well, I'm glad you guys have made it to this episode here of LIVESTREAM. You know, I've been trying to push it along, going forward, and here we go. And then I stop for a little bit, and I go again, and I stop. My apologies. It happens that way. Hi, Cindy. Cindy's out there watching. If you're listening right now, this is actually going to be on audio as well. So you can catch it on Spreaker. There you go. It'll be on Spreaker first, and it'll be on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. You can even ask Alexa. She'll play some LIVESTREAM podcast. Yes, she will, or he, whatever you want to. You can even do the Samuel L. Jackson. That's probably my favorite one, right? Anyway, so I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Today, I'm going to dive a little deep into, some really kind of dark stuff in a sense. But I'm going to show you a couple of videos how extraterrestrials and everything like that coincides with human beings and how they, been kind of coexisting and at the same time how they've been coming around a little bit more than they usually do. So that's what's been happening. I don't know if you caught the last live podcast that I had. My background fell. I had a whoopsie and my background fell, and I was like, and I had my crew back there just laying in bed watching it, and they didn't pick it up. It's okay. It happens. Sometimes these things do happen during a live podcast, and it's okay. Hey, sometimes it happens that way. You don't expect it. Oh, well, right? Anyway, if you're watching here on Rumble, thank you guys. Give me a thumbs up here on Rumble. If you're watching on YouTube, even on Facebook, give me some thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, so that way when we do come on live, you'll be able to check us out there. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I am on another podcast as well. It's called the Awakening Frequency Podcast. All right, I'm on this podcast here as well with Danielle, and we have Mr. Jason Sands going to be coming up on our next podcast. So go follow us there on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere else. But same platforms. We're on audio as well. We've had some pretty good ones. We dive deep into disclosure, into the military, a lot of secret the things that are happening within the military complex. We're throwing a lot of those stories out there as well as extraterrestrials, Bigfoot, and all that good stuff that comes along with it. Now, it's just been an amazing journey going through all of this with you guys. With of course, LIVESTREAM's not going anywhere. I started this since 2019, and we're still going forward, right? Because that's what we do. We're here talking about extraterrestrials and how it affects people and how it's been affecting a lot of people lately. And of course, I have a couple of close friends that it has affected them, and it's still affecting them as we speak. I spoke to Mr. Ryan Keaton this morning, and we had a long conversation of things that were happening to him, because he was sending me photos, videos, and I'm going to show those tonight on exactly what was going on in his area. Now, like I said, we are going to talk about these little guys here, right? They have been popping up all over the place, everywhere. Even Cindy as well. You know, she's been catching a lot of good stuff out there in Portageville, Missouri. Man, she got some really good stuff. I put it on Alien Strand. Go to Alien Strand page, and I think I put on Alien Strand Disclosure Project and Alien Strand 2 as well. Go check out her stuff. But anyway, there's been a lot of activity up in those general areas, right? Straight up from Texas, Missouri, all the way, South Carolina, all the way in that area. It's a hot spot for some reason, right? I don't know if you guys know this, right? And there is a fault line too that kind of travels in that direction. So does that have something to do with it? I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Do you think that because of the fault lines that maybe it has something to do with it? Yeah, possibly, man. Possibly. But not only do we, I had a conversation with Ryan this morning about how a lot of people out there, not just podcasters or other people that are sharing, which is great, all over Facebook of UFOs and UAPs, and hey, man, more power to you. Share it as much as you can out there, right? Because when the extraterrestrials come around, we know that something is driving these extraterrestrial ships, right? Something is driving them. And we know that for a fact, right? Because these things don't drive themselves. Of course, they might have a couple of drones out there. Hey, you never know, right? Anyway, so I'm going to get to it. All right. So there's this gentleman. I talk about him all the darn time, all right? His name is Mr. Juanito Juan, right? And I showed you a picture of what he had caught last week, right? I talked about it. And it was this photo here. This was inside of his living room. I'm gonna take myself out. It was inside of the living room, and he kept on getting this white light that kept on kind of showing up. But on this video, when I showed it last week, it was actually making some kind of noise, right? Some static in the background. Now, I don't know if you guys use electronic magnetic fields meters, EMF meters that they do have out there. I do highly recommend you use these meters, right? Because you can see the electronic magnetic fields as it fluctuates around you, right? I've talked about this over and over and over, right? And how do you know? Well, it's usually when you're sitting at home, your meter, if you downloaded, they're free on iPhones or Android, whatever. You'll see the little meter. It's usually around 5 to 10, right? On the scale. If you're close to a computer or your Wi-Fi or anything router, it's going to go to 20, 25, 20, somewhere on there, right? But sometimes you'll get some peaks about 45 to 65, right? Which me and Mr. Ryan were talking about this morning. That's what he was getting around him. He was getting a lot of 45s and 65s around him. And I'm going to show you his stuff a little later. But we were talking about Juanito Juan. And I don't know what's going on, man, but these little things are starting to make themselves known more and more and more to people. Is it because they just don't give a crap? Hey, maybe, right? And the alien experiences are always like, well, I've seen them, but I've never seen the actual extraterrestrial itself, right? And when you usually see pictures of them, we see them like in this kind of stage where you kind of see them up close and just look. They have different ways and shapes of forms about them, right? That we're always trying to figure out exactly what they are, right? And that's how they come out to be, usually on your photos, your videos. I believe that they're living in a different dimension, right? And they can walk into ours, in and out of our dimension, right? They can manifest themselves around you when you're least expecting it, things like that, right? So there's the video. I'm going to show you here real quick. And this gentleman, 2 days ago, he saw something out of his camera. He's got this camera on the side of his house. I've shown you videos of his house. You guys should already know what his house looks like outside and inside already, because he shows so many videos of it. And he ended up catching this orb that was floating on the side of his house, and he decided to walk up to it, right? So in the video, he's explaining He's saying, we heard noises. Me and my wife heard noises, and we heard something coming, some noises. So I decided to investigate, and he's walking towards it. So when you're watching this video, check this out. And he's saying it in Spanish. So mind you, this is what you're going to hear. Here goes.
Ruidos y vean esto, mi gente, vean eso, hay una luz ahí bien potente, mi gente. ¿Qué es eso? Vean eso, mi gente. Ay, no mames. No mames.
Now, that scared the living crap out of him. I don't know if you see it at the very end. You can see did you see how tall it is? This thing's about 6 feet, maybe almost 7. And I'm going to show you another video of him walking. He had a secondary camera. And it's just going to show him walking towards it, so you know that it's him, right? So, and I'm going to kind of explain it as we go, because there's no sound on this one. So this is the camera as it's rolling, camera B, and you see him walking towards this light, right? And the light's barely moving, but as you see him walking towards the light in the dark hallway outside, you see him walking really close to it. And look how short he is. He's not very tall. But once he sees this thing, bam, he gets scared, and he backs away quickly, right? Like fast. Quick, fast, in a hurry, right? And let's see, Ryan Keaton says it can be intense. Yes, it can be intense. All that can be intense as far as the extraterrestrials. Now, this is what he saw the week before. This was inside his house. I showed you this guy. This is inside his house. That's his front door. They were outside barbecuing, and then his inside camera caught that, right? So, and then lo and behold, the next week later, this is what he walks up to, right? He's walking up to it. I'm going to take myself out so you don't see my distraction here. So I'm going to switch to the next picture. As he's walking towards it now, can you see how tall that extraterrestrial is? You see how big that thing is? And it's standing up above at least 6 feet. So I'm 5'9". I'm not very tall, but he's probably about the same height, and I figured it's about 6 footer, 6'5" maybe. So that's how huge this creature is. It is huge. It's a huge image of a creature, right? And to walk up to something like that after you're having months and months of visitations, you end up seeing this thing even closer than before, scaring the living crap out of him. It would have scared the hell out of anybody, right? And this is it right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's a still frame from the video. This is how tall it is. You can see the eyes, how it's kind of glowing with the light. So it's using the light to in front of it to kind of disguise itself in a sense. Right? That's what we're seeing in his video as he's walking towards it. Now I'm going to show you one more photo of this that they cleaned it up a little bit, and you could see it a lot better, right? Bam. You see that? Now, you see with the little arrow, there's an arrow, there's this photo, people in audio land, there's a photo of the extraterrestrials. Somebody has used a little bit of analyzation on those, cleaned it up a little bit. Now you can see the shape of the head, and there's a secondary extraterrestrial standing next to him. So there's not just one, there's two. And they've been visiting him every freaking day, just about, right? Every day. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're visiting him. He said he's had telepathic communications with these things. He even has had that silver ball. It's not even silver. It's like a metallic colored ball he grabbed a hold of one. So he's able to grab all that information from that, right? And people always think, oh, well, people are just crazy. The extraterrestrials are not real, whatever. Look, you're seeing it for yourself, man. How much more do you want? That is not fake, right? These things have been manifesting themselves through his stereos, through his cameras. They're making these static noises. They were talking to him real strangely at first. I remember months and months back, he could hear these noises coming through his camera, and it sounded like something went like in the background, right? But he didn't understand what it was, and he would see a flash of light every time, and then all of a sudden they start appearing themselves more and more and more to him, right? Why? Why him, right?
Alien Strand Podcast.
You know, we always just try to figure out why me most of the time, right? And then when you look it up, really in reality, I went to Google and I said, well, let's just look it up and let's just see what extraterrestrials contact with people, right? What it's about, right? I'm gonna put this on screen for you. And it says, alien abductions reports describe experience of being taken by an extraterrestrial beings, often involving in periods of missing time, physical examinations, and return to a place of origin. While the abductee claim that the experiences are real and traumatic, scientific and mental health professionals offer alternative explanations like sleep paralysis, false memories, and psychological factors. In other words, you might be making it up. You might be dreaming it. We don't know. Some key aspects are missing time, right? Individuals report periods of missing time that they can't account for. Paralysis and waking hallucinations, experiences and unable to move while you're awake, right? Accompanied by visions of aliens or lights. I explained that in one of my past podcasts a few years ago. That's actually one of my best podcasts out there. I go into deep about paralysis, like real in depth about that. Unusual entities. People describe encounters with non-human beings, often being strange in physical appearances. Sometimes they have medical examinations. There's a psychological impact, right? But it says many individuals report emotional distress, trauma, and potential PSD-like symptoms, right? What have we been talking about this whole time? That's exactly it. That's exactly it. People are starting to get traumatized by what they are seeing. And it's as freaking real as it gets, right? Because then this factor comes into play. Right? It talks about it. It's even the AI telling you what it thinks of extraterrestrial contact. And it tries to explain it the best way it can, right? And it factors itself through what the input is out in the internet, right? Basically, it grabs all the input that it can from the internet and it makes sense of whatever it can from it. Whether it believes it's true, false, or whatever. There is no belief system in the AI. It just it's telling you pretty much like it is, how and what people are thinking. Usually it's a lot of psychological warfare that's going on in between that, right? So, yeah. And then, after that, I started getting messages from Mr. Ryan Keaton in San Antonio, and he starts telling me, hey, man, I've been seeing some weird crap in the sky lately. And this is what he was seeing. This was above his house in San Antonio, Texas. As you can tell, they have like a diamond shape. One of them's even got like a triangular looking shape, almost prismish. You can see by the outline of the electronic magnetic field around it that in this photo that it's whatever it is, it's there, right? And it's around him all the time. And then you try to figure out, okay, how do we get this explained the best way possible? I don't know. That's hard to do, to explain what it is. So then he says, "Hey man, these things. I have this app that he uses, and he says it's cold around my the areas where my EMF meter, like I talked about before, electronic magnetic field meter." He goes, it jumps to 45 and 65 and it starts getting cold in those spots. Because I've had other people come up and just touch those areas or just be around that area and it's cold and they feel it. Right? Ryan Keaton's, he's out there watching too, and he says, it seems like they try to ease us into it. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like, right? Because it draws you in and it keeps drawing you in and you get pulled into that world of extraterrestrials, right? We're always looking for the UFO, of course. Yes, I get it. We all do that. We would love to see a UFO, but we don't know what's inside that UFO, right? So then Ryan sends me a picture. You saw the what I just showed you of Mr. Juanito Juan in Taninípolis, Mexico. That's what it's called, where he lives. So he sends me a picture. He goes, dude, I was in my garage, and I know they were there, so I used my app to see if I could see it, and bam. He says, you could not see it with your eyes, only with the app filters. Right? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing here? Ryan Keaton says they drew a diamond on my back door. They can actually see, I can actually see that they use their fingers. So they constantly are making contact with Mr. Ryan Keaton as well, as he's explaining right here, right? This is just in his garage, mind you. Jaja says alien. Yeah, I think it's an alien. Extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call it. But that creeps the hell out of me, right? He says you could not see it with your naked eye, only with the app. Ryan says it was a plug-in infrared camera for my phone. That's how he was able to see this thing. Just like this gentleman I told you before, he was seeing this. They started manifesting themselves. Right? This is in his living room over above his couch. It looks like the same creature from what we saw earlier. This one. Almost. The other one had a different shape of head and eyes, but look at the shape of this thing. It almost looks like what's standing next to him is like a spirit of a human being. That's what it looks like to me. If you look right over its right shoulder, as it's looking at you, it's its right shoulder, not yours. It looks almost like a human being standing next to that creature. And you know how I explained before how these extraterrestrials possibly walk within the same dimension as ghosts, and how they're in sync together. How these extraterrestrials can travel interdimensionally, right? They can jump in any dimension. I'm not saying that the ghosts are aliens. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that humans, we all have some kind of an aura of energy, right? And it's a trace, like a thumbprint. Let's just say like a thumbprint we leave behind. And we leave that behind, and you get to see traces of that thumbprint. And if you're allowed to come back in a supernatural way, well, you're allowed, but then you're going to see what's walking amongst us, right? And if these extraterrestrials are walking amongst us, then those spirits or souls can see that as well, right? It's kind of mind-boggling, really, in reality. If you think really deep outside the box, if you think outside the box, right, and just kind of think about this, it's deep, man. It ain't gonna get any deeper than that. If you don't really think about it, I'm gonna show you that picture one more time. It almost looks like an extraterrestrial that's standing next to it, and it almost looks humanistic as well. But so do the extraterrestrials. Jaja says, do they ever talk to Juanito Juan? Yes, they did. He actually had a conversation with one of them. Using that silver orb that he found that was moving around in his house. He was able to capture it in his home. And he said that these interdimensional beings were, or extraterrestrials, were talking to him telepathically. And they were telling him where they were from. They were from a different planet, different world, different universe. They didn't mean him any harm. They were just here as researchers. That's why they would always grab his plants from the back of his house. They would get his plants. They would dig through all his garden to get, this is what they were doing. Let's just say they're kind of like explorers, but at the same time, they're curious as us, as who we are as human beings, right? Ryan says it's hard to wrap your brain around it. But the human eye is extremely limited to the light spectrum, and that is true. That's why we have to use these cameras and all these infrareds and everything that we find, to try anything with technology to help us look, right? We know these Dyson glasses are out there that can see through that spectrum. You're never going to find them. The government made them and they hid them away. They're called Dyson goggles because they were able to see beyond the spectrum into the interdimensional world, in a sense. They could see UFOs. They could see things that were walking amongst us, creatures, right? That was, there's been a couple of military people that have brought that to the forefront, saying that these Dyson goggles do exist. Now, they would sell that stuff, Dyson. They would sell it in the 1930s and 1940s over the counter, man. The liquid. So it was something that you could buy. People never figured it out. How to put this together until somebody did. They decided to use it for glass, right? Maybe because back then, when they were doing photos, maybe say, well, maybe we'll try it on the photos and see what it comes out, right? When they're using the liquid to make pictures and everything, maybe, right? But this is the scary part that me and Ryan talked about. He says, this is not what I want. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of this. Right? And I'm not going with it. And I don't blame him. Nobody wants this either. Sometimes we draw really nice, pretty pictures of the extraterrestrials, which looks nice here. Looks like actually a nice photo, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Is this what you want to be standing in front of? That does not look like these guys. It's close, but that's a little bit more spookier, man. It's that's something that's, I don't know, man. It probably freaked the hell out of me too if something like that was standing right in front of me. Linda Lee Suber says, I've seen the Arcturian out back of my patio in an open field. They're about 8 to 10 feet tall. We'll search for a pic. Donna says, nope. My sister's out there watching too. My other sister So yeah, nope, exactly. You know, that's some spooky stuff, man. I got and I'm going to ask you guys a question, all right? And I was talking about supernaturals and ghosts. I talked to this about my mom the other day because my brain goes 150 miles an hour, right? So I said, Mom, okay, so when you die, they bury you in your clothes, right? And she goes, well, yeah. And I was like, okay, so why is it when we see spirits, they got clothes on? Ain't you supposed to be naked? She goes like, what? I said, well, I mean, really, when your soul leaves, it doesn't have clothes. You know, how's that happening, right? And I mean, I already had the answer. I was just kind of messing with her a little bit, and she was like, I don't know. I was like, I've never thought about that. And I was like, look, I said, look, this is what my brain is telling me. So maybe since we are human, right? We're made of all these genomes and everything, you know, of the bios and all that good stuff, scientific mumbo jumbo, right? We're made of all this stuff, right? I said, okay, we're a living entity, right? We live, everything, even the planet's alive, right? Earth is alive. Our plants are alive. When you talk to them, if you talk bad to them, they die. If you talk good to them, they flourish and they grow, just like people, right? Treat them good, they'll treat you good, and everything will be peachy. If you treat them bad, it's going to be a crappy road down the hill. Anyway, so if plants are a living entity, well, so is cotton, right? So then cotton would probably be a living entity too, right? So why not the cotton manifests itself with you as well? That's why we have clothes on. I told her, you think that's probably how it's happening? She goes, you know what? I think so. I was like, I can't explain it. How do you explain it? I've never heard anybody explain that to me yet. I mean, I'm not a supernatural person, but that has my brain kind of weirded out, man. But anyway, it's just, I threw you off on that one. But
Alien Strand Podcast.
anyway, it's just, like I said, these extraterrestrials walk in those kind of realms with the supernatural as well. And we always tend to, just kind of think of them as really nice looking, whatever. And there's, look, man, I'm not going to downplay. I'm not going to downgrade all of these extraterrestrials. I'm not going to do that. But I know there's thousands of species out there, thousands of these species, and they're walking amongst us every day. We can't see them. They abduct people. I showed you pictures of them taking cows, of course. We know these UFOs are huge, right? Like this one here. Look at the size of that thing, almost as big as a city, right? Going behind a mountain. That's a actual real craft, right? That one always blows me away. Of this UFO, broad daylight behind a huge mountain, right? Just floating over, and that ain't no cloud. That ain't no cloud, rectangular cloud. Nope. That's a UFO. Huge. Right? So, we tried to tend to move away from the extraterrestrials of what they really are and what they're about, right? And if they're here to explore, if they're explorers, well, then explore. Go ahead. But don't explore me. Or don't explore somebody else. I mean, unless you want to go, then you go right ahead. That's up to you, right? And, there, like I said, there's all different kind of species. There's some good ones out there. I know there are. I've heard people talk about these other grays that they don't want to hurt nobody. They're good, and they help you, and they help people, and which is great, man. I'll take those 150%. If they're like this, they look nice and cute, and say, hey, we want to help you. We're going to heal you. Go for it. That's perfect. I'm right there with you. But when these little guys start showing up and just showing their faces, in your living room like that gentleman, Juanito Juan, they keep doing that to him. And they're communicating with him over and over. They're taking his plants, doing everything that they can to make contact. They've already made contact. This gentleman has had so much contact with these extraterrestrials that it's hard to even fathom of how he's not getting the recognition that he deserves. Many people have called him a fake. I have seen all his videos, photos. I've analyzed a lot of the UFOs that have been over his house. He takes pictures of them. He's been to these pyramids where these UFOs are following him everywhere. They have him locked down, man. They're tracking him. That's like I talked to Mr. Ryan Keaton this morning. He goes all over. He goes, man, I see these things all over San Antonio. Maybe they're tracking him too, right? It's a possibility that he's got an implant. He just doesn't know it. You might, Ryan. You might, brother. Might want to check. We'll get the meter, man, and we'll check around your body when I go visit you, and we'll see if we can find one of those meters, and it'll pick up if there's some kind of a radioactive meter or device that's inside of your skin. Believe me, it'll pick it up. I forgot what it's called right off the bat, but they do have a meter that'll pick that up. And it's made for something else, but you can actually use it to find. They've already found, I don't know how many people with implants with this meter, and it's able to pick up, it's like a little frequency. It'll pick up a frequency to a certain degree. And once it picks it up, it'll narrow it down to where it is under your skin. And then either you got to get an x-ray to see how deep it is. Most of the times it's going to be like in your wrist, behind your leg, behind the ear. It'll be around that area, in between your fingers. It'll be there as well. If anybody has had any contact lately with any kind of, and it's going to sound nuts, I know it is, but if you think you've had any kind of contact with these little critters, just check your skin, see if you see any triangular marks, anything like that, especially women or above the navel area. You've seen anything like that, then you know that they've possibly grabbed your eggs, right? That's a possibility. That's probably what happened, right? So it's like Ryan. He says sounds good. He goes, I wonder if that's why my EMF has been constantly high. You know what? Maybe, man. Maybe it's on you already. You just don't know it, man. Because you're seeing these things all over San Antonio. And you're seeing other people see them with you. And that's the difference, right? That is the difference. That when you have other people with you, they're seeing the same things you are. So you're just not seeing it by yourself. When we were with you, we saw it. We saw it as well. We made contact. It's in the movie, the middle part 2. It's all there. We're showing it. None of that scripted, like I said. I tell you guys over and over. That whole film, all them films are not scripted. And what you see in the middle, too, it actually happened right in front of us. And right in front of Ryan. The middle part 1, the middle 2, and the middle 3 is out. The middle 4 will be coming out later this year. But, I had to bring this to guys' attention, and just kind of show you exactly what is happening to people around the world. So this is happening to this gentleman in Mexico, right? And these things are just everywhere, and it's happening to Ryan, and it's happening to other people as well. So you're starting to see more and more visitations, but you're starting to actually get video evidence of the visitation, right? Most people are like, oh, you don't only have no pictures of the alien, you only have pictures of the light, only the light, man. Well, there you go. Now we got pictures of the aliens with the light. So how much more you want, man? So it's all there. You can't get any better than that. I don't know. And Ryan says, I'm trying to show as many people as possible they need to be aware. And yes, this is what Alien Strand is about. It's about teaching awareness. And that's what we're doing. We're not glorifying these things. We're just teaching you awareness. We're showing you exactly what these things are. We're showing you, we don't know where they come from. They might come from Zeta Reticuli. They might come from different constellations of the universe. They might come from, who knows, from somewhere beneath our feet. We always talk about that, right? They're above our heads, below our feet, because we are in the middle, right? That's why we named the movies The Middle, because of that. It's all about the extraterrestrial visitation and contact. And they make contact because they're trying to talk to us and they're trying to tell us something. Right? And we've tried to explain it over and over and over of why. And of course, we lost Miss Shauna Gilmer, and these things were attacking her, man. They were scratching her. They were burning her. They were burning her from the inside. And we just lost her last month, you know. And I did a bunch of I did a podcast with her. I saw a few other podcasts where she was trying to make sense of what was happening to her, but she was getting scorned and burned. So these things were not visiting her in a friendly way. They were actually tormenting her in a sense and attacking her. What does that? Do I have to say it? Yeah, we know what it is. If it's not being good to you, and then we all tried to help her, used everything that we could to try to get rid of those things, and we could not. She moved to a different city, hundreds of miles away, and they followed her. They followed her. And possibly, took her a few times. But she was our little soldier, and she was out there spreading awareness, and that's what she was doing, spreading awareness. Billy says, it's a shame about Shauna. Yes, it is. It should have happened. And it's unfortunate. But she was trying to spread the awareness just like I'm doing here today, just like Ryan is doing here today, just like this Juanito Juan is doing here today. He's teaching you awareness of what these things are. Now, some people do get some sort of radiation sickness from being too close to these things. And it's going to happen. As you notice in this photo, it's usually carrying some sort of a light or some sort of an object in front of it. Look at the face on this one. This is a dead ringer right here. Look at the out here in audio world. It's a face. This is that one of a few years ago that they caught here in the United States. She took a picture of it, and I don't know if you can see next to that extraterrestrial. There's an actual light coming up behind it. There's an actual craft, and when you see the whole photo, there's an actual craft behind it. But anyway, this is, if you look at the face. You looking at it? Look at the face, all right? You remember the face? Look at the face. All right? That's just one of the bigger ones. And this is a totally different location, totally different. They just happened to grab a photo of that extraterrestrial at the time. Right? The coincidences are uncanny. They're all in sync with each other, right? So whatever these things are, they are making more contact with more people every single freaking day, right? Every day. And like I said, I'm not here to glorify these things or anything like that. We're just showing you awareness. We're teaching you awareness of what these things are, right? And yeah, do I have a book, CE5? Yes, to make contact. Yeah, you can make contact. These things, you can keep these things at a distance. You don't necessarily have to have them right there. They will start approaching you closer and closer and closer. The deeper you get, the more you start wanting. In other words, you start hungering for it more and more. So what happens? You're like magnets. Bam. The more you start looking into it, the more it keeps coming towards you, right? So sometimes you do have to back away. You have to detour yourself from sky watching or just looking at UFOs or just, in other words, you can have a regular life. Go out with the family, go have a good time, go have some dinner, go watch a baseball game, a football game, go camping, go do something, nice, if, and don't be so involved with the extraterrestrial and the contact, because it can actually overwhelm you and it'll drive you freaking nuts.
Alien Strand Podcast.
It'll drive you nuts. Donna says Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah. But I hope you guys are enjoying today's content. I know it's not very enjoyable, but hey, it's showing you guys proof of more contact is actually being made to people, right? So just be aware of that that's exactly what's happening to people. They're starting to make themselves more known, right? Like this gentleman walking towards it. I'm going to show the video again because you got to see it, man. You got to see this video again. And this is the one where he's walking towards it. Right? Because he sees that light. He said him and his wife heard a noise. So he went out there to investigate. He sees this light. He got his phone in his hand. And there he goes, right? Walking towards it. And he knows it's them. But he thought it was just a ball of light. He didn't know that there was an extraterrestrial creature standing there about 6 foot tall holding the light, right? He didn't know that was happening. Right? So it literally scared the living crap out of him. You even hear it in the video. Watch.
Vean eso, mi gente. Hay una luz ahí bien potente. Empezamos a escuchar ruidos. Y vean esto, mi gente. Vean eso. Hay una luz ahí bien potente, mi gente. ¿Qué es eso? Vean eso, mi gente. Ay, no mames. No mames, no mames, no mames, no mames.
Yeah, you heard that yourself, right? You scared, man. You see how tall that thing is. So I'm glad he taped it. I'm glad he was able to show you guys what's happening around him daily. And it's just a strange thing that's happening to people now, right? How these UFOs are starting to come around more. People starting to see more extraterrestrials. And this is what I try to do in the films. I want people to see the extraterrestrial, not just the craft itself. We've seen UFOs all day long. But when we actually see the extraterrestrial itself, then you start seeing, how you put a face behind the craft, right? You actually put a face behind the craft. Something's driving this thing. Something's watching you. Something's watching your family. Something's observing you. Something knows every day-to-day life that's happening to you. And it kind of reminds me like stalkers, right? It might be like a stalker syndrome. Alien stalker syndrome. Basically, that's what it is. Ryan says it makes it even more real. Yeah, it does. Like I said, I read to you everything of what AI thinks, of extraterrestrial abductions or encounters, and it does have a form of PTSD. It will do that to you, right? We all know that. So, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Give me some hearts here. Share this podcast with other people that think that you should be aware of these extraterrestrials and of this type of species. And, just to show people a little bit more of what's really happening out there if they're not really aware of what it is. Mr. C.C. Abrams says, I'm always wondering if they look at us like the way we look at them. Yeah. Yeah, it does, brother. It does. They do. I'm sure they do. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for your stories, man. And thank you for talking to me this morning. I really appreciate you. I love you, man. So it's just one of those things, that we all stick together in Extraterrestrials and in Alien Strand Disclosure Project. There's no I in team. We all work together. We all help each other, man, because a lot of these people do have contact, and we saw the photos. I'm not going to bullcrap you. I showed you a picture of my socks. No BS. I have socks that say that. No BS, right? Because I ain't going to bullcrap you. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to show you like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm going to tell you like it is, right? Because I think you should know. All right, we got some more content coming up here next week. Stick around. I'm going to have, probably get a guest on. Yeah. We'll get a guest on. So that way we can have a little bit more. Instead of you guys looking at this right here, you don't want to see this all day. Anyway, don't forget to catch the Awakening Frequency podcast with me and Danielle. We're going to have a podcast coming up. I don't know about this week. It'll probably be next week with Mr. Ryan. Not Ryan, I'm sorry. Jason Sands. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He had an amazing story, man. And we're actually humbled he's going to be our first guest on our show. And he's going to talk about his whole experiences, man. And I hope you guys catch that show. I'll let you know when that's out. But stick around here, Alien Strand. This will be on audio as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I gave you as much information as I could. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for sticking around for Alien Strand. Hey, and thank you, Facebook. Finally. You someone new. No, I'm joking. Thank you for letting Alien Strand Podcast and Donald Desmond come on Facebook today. What happened, man? I couldn't get on here for 5 months? But it's okay. It's okay, man. So, we'll catch you on the next one, right? Until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. See you later, alligator.
Alien Strand Podcast.
You want to learn about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact? Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.